What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be going through all of the different stages of COLISEUM Pedro, who is by far the most difficult piece of content on Global right now. Now, in this video, we're going to be going through just one regular team for Stage 1 and Stage 2, but for the final stage against Pedro, I have, I think, 4 different teams for you guys, so you can go ahead and see the different teams that I use in order to beat it. There are definitely multiple ways to go ahead and get around it, and also when we go through this, we'll explain what the dungeon does, so what you guys can go ahead and think about to bring certain units to get around certain pieces of the debuffs and all the things you want to really get around in this specific Colosseum, because it's very, very difficult. As I said, probably the most difficult piece of content on Global right now. Extremely difficult. However, he is a very powerful unit and well worth the farm. So let's go ahead and go through what this unit actually does first. So you can see here he is a cerebral shooter character, and I have him at maxed limit break. He gets slot seal and also the provoked attack or the enrage specific abilities. He has 5 socket spots, and you can see his stats there are pretty nice at max limit break. 2400 HP, nearly 1500 attack, and 339 recovery. His captain ability will go ahead and boost cerebral characters attack by 2.5 times, and he also treats the orbs of cerebral characters, being the Psi and Int orbs, as beneficial. So that's actually a really powerful captain ability. The fact he makes 2 certain orbs count as beneficial. 2.5 times attack isn't really amazing though, but still, the fact that he can treat so many orbs as beneficial is actually quite nice. But the main thing that you want to be using him for is his special ability. So his special ability starts at 29 turns, maxes at 15 turns. However, he actually gets 2 cooldown reduction from his limit break, going down to a 13 turn cooldown, and also he also gains an additional socket spot through his limit break as well, meaning that I would highly suggest to go ahead and limit break him and then start feeding his copies so you can get the most out of your copies. But what his special ability does, it will go ahead and reduce your crew's HP by 95%, and it deals 50 times his attack as typeless damage to all enemies that ignores damage negating abilities and barriers. So because he is a cerebral unit and he reduces HP by a very significant margin, that is amazing for characters such as Crocodile, such as V2 Rayleigh, and this helps out cerebral teams a lot. He also does a lot of AoE damage, which is always nice to see, and it does go through barriers and defensive effects, which is very, very good. But the additional ability that he grants to your crew is fantastic. He is a 1.75 times color affinity booster for your cerebral units for 2 turns. Now, just think about how great that special ability is, and the fact that it's on a 13 turn cooldown. And that is an extremely powerful special ability, giving you so much additional damage when you activate it. But it doesn't end there. He has 2 separate crewmate abilities. The first one giving 35 base attack point boost to your cerebral characters, and his second one making Psi orbs beneficial to your cerebral characters. So he is a fantastic sub-unit on any cerebral squad. So if you guys can farm this unit, I would highly suggest to go ahead and do so. He is not restricted to Chaos only. You can actually farm him on the underground difficulty, which is quite nice for all people that are a little bit lower leveled or don't have as many good units, which is fantastic. Obviously not a guaranteed drop, and the drops aren't as good. You don't get as many tomes or cotton candy, but still, to max out the unit is highly suggested because he's such a good unit, and he will be a trusty character in the upcoming treasure map versus Sabo. But now that we've gone ahead and gone through this actual unit's abilities, let's go ahead and get straight into the dungeon breakdowns. Round number 1 is going to be against Sanji. However, on stage 4 we have Beppo and John Bart. Beppo has 478,000 HP and John Bart has 570,000 HP. The preemptive attack of Beppo will go ahead and apply a delay protector and also a 1-turn damage reduction shield. And then what will happen with John Bart is that he will randomly chain 2 units on your crew for 3 turns, and he has a 5-turn resilience buff. So bringing someone that can deal damage to him at the end of the turn, or poison damage, is what I would highly suggest to go ahead and take him down a lot easier. Now, stage 5 against Sanji is going to be very difficult because his preemptive attack will despair both your captain and your friend captain for 6 turns, which is why I use Legend Sanji in this video to completely avoid that. And he also makes it so that he has a higher chance, or you have a higher chance of getting negative orbs. He will then randomly change your orbs, and also he has a full debuff protector. Sanji also has 3.12 million HP and he attacks every turn for 8,000 damage. Do not get Sanji below 20%, otherwise he will go ahead and despair both your captains again for 4 turns, and he'll also completely reduce your attack down to a very small margin, so do not get him below 20%. Ideally you want to be taking him down as quick as possible before he can start dealing lots of damage, ideally before turn 2 so you do not get your slots sealed. But other than that guys, I'll see you guys on the second round of COLISEUM Pedro. Round number 2 is going to be against Sicilian, and with Sicilian on stage 4 there is a mini boss being Peckham's and Wanda. Wanda has 680,000 HP and Peckham's has 800,000 HP. The preemptive attack of Wanda will completely paralyze your crew for 3 turns, and the preemptive attack of Peckham's will roll back all of your character's specials for 1 turn, and he also applies a blue defensive shield to himself. However, the main boss you want to be worrying about is going to be Sicilian on the final stage. He has a delay and a poison protector, and he will blow away the bottom 4 units on your crew, so make sure having captains that can sustain your crew, whether it be damage reduction or mass healing, or using an AoE type special or like a mass damage special like Inthawk or V2 Doflamingo. You can still go ahead and use a friend Doflamingo and that will work as well. So maybe a driven team using a treasure mode Cavendish and a friend Doflamingo will be your best bet to take down this specific piece of content, because if you don't, you're going to get all your characters blown away for a certain amount of time, and it's going to be extremely difficult to take down. But other than that guys, I will see you guys on the final round of COLISEUM Pedro. So we've made it to the final round against Pedro. Now, first of all, this is going to be just one of the 4 teams that I'm going to show you guys. This one is the V2 Doflamingo team. So on stage 3, you actually have a mini-boss with Carrot and also Chopper. Carrot has 650,000 HP and Chopper has 825,000 HP. First of all, Carrot will go ahead and blow away a random sub-unit for a turn, and Chopper will go ahead and chain any red units on your team for 5 turns. So that is something that you have to take into consideration, that having max bind resistance is going to be quite essential for clearing this much easier. Also below 50% HP, Chopper will go ahead and enrage himself, and also will give himself, that also gives himself a really strong attack boost, and he will also go ahead and change all of your orbs into bomb orbs. Stage 4 is going to be against Jinbei and 3 Larpins. Jinbei has 2.75 million HP, and he attacks every 2 turns for just under 10,000 damage. Jinbei's preemptive attack will cut your crew's health by 55%. He also cuts your attack power in half with an attack down for 3 turns, and all characters on your crew will be special sealed for 4 turns, and he also has a 99 turn delay protector. If all of the Larpins are left alive, or if any Larpin is left alive, they will go ahead and reduce your crew's healing or have an anti-healing mechanic applied to your crew for an extended period of time. So ideally you do not want to do that, because once one is actually applied to your crew and they start dealing damage, they do quite a lot of damage to your crew. Also, below certain health thresholds, Jinbei will go ahead and cut your crew's health by either 40 to 80%, and then he'll do his regular attack as well. So you do have to be very careful not to get Jinbei too low, otherwise you're going to be losing a lot of HP. So ideally, keep him around 50%, and then you can burst from there to take down Jinbei. But now let's discuss the final boss being Pedro. He has 5.9 million HP and he attacks every turn for 9,200 damage. The preemptive attack will go ahead and apply a full 99 turn debuff protector, and he will cancel all special effects, and all colored orbs will be treated as negative for 99 turns. With this debuff, it means that you do have to utilize different orbs, whether it be recovery in tandem orbs, rainbow orbs, or G orbs. You can't use a special that will be taken into this final room, as Pedro removes all special effects. The key thing about this fight though is that when you finally kill Pedro, he will deal a 200,000 damage death hit. So you need to have someone on your crew to completely tank this hit, whether it be Raid Barto, whether it be Legend Barto, whether it be the Barto ship. You know, you need someone who can completely negate all this damage output, otherwise you'll just instantly die right on the final step of this entire fight. So you guys are going to be seeing different teams that utilize different abilities to be able to kill this actual fight. So hopefully you guys do go on to enjoy the rest of these teams. So let's go ahead and move on to my farming team that I'm going to be using to actually farm copies of COLISEUM Pedro. So the next team we're going to be looking at is going to be a Lucy team. So this is 100% going to be the team that I'm going to be using to farm up copies of COLISEUM Pedro. This team is extremely fast and it is able to beat COLISEUM Pedro very, very, very easily. Like, this is much more easier to use than the Doflamingo team that we just went through. And out of all the teams that I have tried thus far, this has definitely been the easiest team that has had a lot of success. So the big key unit here is going to be that Doflamingo, obviously, because what we are going to be doing is activating the new rare recruit Shirahoshi, which, if you guys don't know, she reduces attack down, and I believe it's also paralysis and special bind by 5 turns on your side of the field. So we're going to be using her on stage 4 to remove all of the nasty debuffs that Jinbei puts on our crew. We're going to be basically just doing massive amounts of burst on the Jinbei stage, and that will give us enough overkill damage to use Doflamingo's special to 100% KO Pedro on turn 1. We also have Legend Bartolomeo as a sub-unit here, which will enable us to just completely tank the death hit of Pedro, the 200,000 death hit. And yeah, this team is amazing, and I really enjoyed using this team. And if you guys have these units, I would highly suggest using this. But yeah, let's move on to the next team against COLISEUM Pedro. The next team that I wanted to test out was going to be a Neko Mamushi Cat Viper squad, and according to a lot of people on Discord, they were saying that, you know, Neko was actually a pretty solid team for this dungeon. I didn't believe it personally. However, after using this team, I do have to say that, yeah, this team actually can do this dungeon reasonably well. There is one minor downside to this specific team though, and that is when you actually KO the Carrot and Chopper stage on stage 3 and you move on into the Jinbei stage on stage 4. If you get extremely bad luck with getting recovery and tandem orbs, that pretty much ruins your entire run. Like, if you cannot KO all of those Larpens on turn 1, you pretty much will just lose. You cannot win from that stage there. Also, depending on how much health you have left, you might not be able to tank a hit from Jinbei. Jinbei, when he attacks you, you know, he does just under 10,000 damage. So with some damage reduction, it is a little bit better, but you do need to at least tank one hit from Jinbei on stage 4. Because you do need to wait for that attack down to actually leave your side of the field, so you can actually kill Jinbei after that has expired. And then when you move on to the final room, if you make it to the final room against Pedro, you just instantly win. Like, it's just super duper easy at that point. You just activate all your specials, including the ship special. Do not forget the ship special, because people I have talked to have forgotten to activate it with this team, and they just will instantly lose, because you do need that ship, because it will enable you to tank the 200,000 death hit from Pedro himself. So that has been the Neko team, and it's actually a pretty solid team, and it doesn't really need any of the newer rare recruit units in the game. So if you guys have these units, I would suggest using this squad against the Chaos difficulty version of COLISEUM Pedro. But now let's move on to the final team against COLISEUM Pedro, being the V2 Rayleigh team. The final team is going to be the V2 Rayleigh team. Now, this team in particular did take quite a while for me to actually figure out, and the way that this team actually works is you want to make sure that when you enter the stage 3 room with Carrot and Chopper, that you actually have a substantial amount of health, because you do have to stay in that room for a decently long time, and then after you're in that room for a while, you want to try and tank as many hits as possible and get to a reasonable health threshold so you can actually kill that final room. But here we actually found the Heracles on stage 3, funnily enough, but this was the actual run where it actually did work. You do not need to find Heracles for this team to work. It does work with Carrot and against Chopper. I have tested that, however I wasn't recording during that run, but this team does work against that as well. The big thing with this team in particular is the whole health management system. that is definitely the big thing with this team, because if you're not managing your health properly, you're going to move into a room, you don't have enough health, otherwise you're going to be taking too much damage, and you don't want to take too much damage, otherwise you die when you enter another room because you have to tank a hit. It's extremely annoying. I don't really suggest this team in particular to take down COLISEUM Pedro, but if this is all you got, then it does still work. The team against Pedro here, you do still need to kill all the Larpens on turn 1 like usual, and with Crocodile on this team, Crocodile 6+ finally gets a little bit of a showcase here. He's fantastic on this squad, allowing you to get a 20% health cut against Pedro. Just means that you don't have to be dealing as much damage against him, which is quite nice. But you see here, we actually are using a Rayleigh special, not even just for the amount of damage that we get from it, just purely for the damage reduction that it provides, because we do need to tank hits against Jinbei here, otherwise we will die. So utilizing the Rayleigh here for that, and also we do not need Doflamingo for the final room, so we can use Doflamingo here against Jinbei, and that will allow us to use the second Rayleigh against the final room against Pedro with the 1.75 orb boost and the 3x chain lock, and then you're good to go with the Croc and also the Rayleigh specials. And the main unit that you do actually have to bring for this dungeon is the Fortnite Violet. Some of you guys might be wondering, why the hell is she here? But the reason why she is here, and she's actually very, very important, is she changes all of your orbs randomly into either recovery or tandem, which is great because all colored orbs are counted as negative against Pedro. So we want to make sure that we are using the Zunisha chip along with the Fortnite Violet to get a full board of matching orbs with her. However, make sure to use her special last, because Rayleigh below this threshold will actually go ahead and change those into matching orbs. Also, you do need to tank the hit from Pedro with the 95% damage reduction with Rayleigh. You do need to actually be a little bit over 10,000 HP, so you have to actually heal with a couple of the recovery orbs to make sure that you do not die from the death hit still. Like, this team needs a lot of management with its health, but it does still work. But that has been all of my teams against COLISEUM Pedro. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you guys have, make sure to smack the like button down below, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.